Agreed to. Charles Chevelle.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, the issue here is that the Office of the Controller and Auditor General supervises the auditing of the entire public sector in its widest sense. And it does so with the assistance of a number of private sector firms who have audit expertise. In the nature of things, those firms tend to be the larger and better resourced ones. They tend to be, in large part, the international accounting firms with audit practices. And so when the Officers of Parliament Committee comes to consider who in fact ought to audit the auditors, obviously the committee has to consider firms that have the expertise but also lack the conflicts. They can't very well look at the larger firms that perform work customarily for the Audit Office themselves, and that is why they must look at the next tier of firms, if you like, to ensure that they find one that has the reputation and the ability to have a look at the very work of the auditors themselves. The committee have settled upon the well-respected firm of CST Nexia. It's a small firm. It has, I think, 5 partners, maybe 6, and the work that it will perform will be very valuable in terms of ensuring the continuing confidence of this House in the Office of the Controller and Auditor General and its functions. I don't think the comments of the Leader of the House about the Office of the Controller and Auditor General can go unanswered as we join in the motion, because I wouldn't want it thought that while we support the motion, we also agree with his comments about the scope and role of the Audit Office. There is a real danger, I think, for the government of the day to become annoyed or tetchy with individual aspects of work of the control agencies or of the offices of Parliament that exist not to serve the government of the day in any way, but to ensure that Parliament in its widest sense can do its job of holding the executive to account. And there is no doubt in New Zealand that the Office of the Controller and Auditor General for many years has performed that role in an exemplary fashion. There is no justification whatsoever to call for the curtailing of its own motion powers of investigation, to say that those powers should not exist and that it should be able to investigate only matters that are referred to it would be an absolute travesty, and I'm sure that that's not what the Leader of the House was suggesting in his contribution. I want to put on record my own gratitude for the way in which the Auditor General performs her work. I want to put on record the Labour opposition's appreciation of the way in which her predecessors have performed their role, and I want to say that we have utter confidence in the office to perform the important role that it currently does.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the I've started putting the vote. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. I did wait, I looked around, the member needs to be a little more alert. Call on Government Order of the Day number 12.
Consumer Law Reform Bill, second reading.